So, right, good afternoon, all of you. Let's continue with our chapter 2 of GST relating to supply. Yesterday, we were dealing with Schedule 1 of CGST Act, which deals with certain activities which will be treated as supply, though it is not made for consideration. In that, we have already checked with point number 1 relating to permanent transfer or disposal of business assets on which GST credit has already been taken. Input tax credit is taken. Okay. Now we will proceed and the next one what we have saw is just a minute. Speaker view. This is like this. Speaker view. Right. Now screen share. Okay, I'm getting all these things. Right. Okay. Let's keep aside those settings. And what was the schedule 1 and subsection 2? What we have dealt with? We have dealt with what we call where a transaction or activity is between related parties or distinct person. However, it should be in the course or furtherance of business. Now we will come to para number 3 with relation to principal and agent. So we have to deal with the para 3 of schedule 1 relating to principal and agent. Now this has 2 points. Yesterday we went into some of these. Let me go to the whiteboard. Now we have 2 items. So one is sale of goods on behalf of principal. Next one is procure goods on behalf of principal. These are 2 items. Now yesterday itself I gave you 2 examples. One is Mr. A, who is in Maharashtra. This fellow is the principal. This fellow is the manufacturer. This fellow is the manufacturer. Now he manufactured goods. He want to sell his goods in Hyderabad. Hyderabad is in Telangana state. Here he has appointed one Mr. B, who is his agent. Now here this transfer of goods has been made with no consideration. No consideration. This falls under schedule 1. This will be treated as a supply. This is first part. Now coming to the second part of it, yesterday I gave you an example. There is one Mr. X in Bangalore. And what this X in Bangalore is doing, X in Bangalore has a showroom of carpets. Now what this fellow, he sells carpets. But to sell the carpets, first what he need carpets. And he came to know that Jammu Kashmir is famous for manufacturing carpets or handmade carpets are available or can be procured in Jammu and Kashmir. Now, Jammu and Kashmir. Now, this fellow, what he has done, he has appointed one agent, Mr. Y, in Jammu Kashmir. So, what this Y will do? He will go all around Jammu Kashmir, find out where the carpets which meet the requirement of X are available. There he procures the carpets, and what he will do? He will supply to Mr. X. Okay, now here this is transfer. This is transfer, and there is no consideration. Now, one of the important ingredient to be treated as supply is it should be made for consideration. But here there is no consideration. Here there is no consideration. So here, even though there is no consideration, this will be treated as supply by virtue of Schedule 1, para number 3. Schedule 1, para number 3A, para number 3B. This is what we have to understand. Now, let us develop this further. Let us develop this further. Now, how to develop this further? Now, come to sale point. Come to sale point. Now, Mr. A, Maharashtra manufacturer principal. B, agent who sells goods on behalf of A. He is in Hyderabad, Telangana state. Now, in order to fall under Schedule 1, in order to fall under Schedule 1, Clause 3A, Schedule 1, 3A, one of the foremost important thing is we need to understand if B has authority to transfer title in goods to transfer title in goods on behalf is you should understand if B has the authority to transfer. My internet connection is unstable. Right from morning, why this is happening? Give me a minute. Hey, Sharif. మన నెట్ కనెక్షన్ ఏంటి అన్స్టేబుల్ అని వస్తుంది పొద్దు నుంచి ఎందులో సర్లే ఓకే ఎక్సెల్ అంటే ఆల్రెడీ స్టార్ట్ అయిపోయింది ఎక్సెల్ చూద్దాం అయితే స్పీడ్ టెస్ట్ ఎలా ఉంది ఒక్క నిమిషం speed. Okay. Right. Right. Now, B has the authority. We should understand whether B has the authority to transfer title goods on behalf of A. That means now here, if here where the goods are being transferred, the customer to the ultimate customer. Now invoice is issued. Invoice is issued. Now in whose name invoice is issued? If in the invoice B name is written, then schedule 1 will come into play. Schedule 1 will come into play. Now, will there be any circumstance where the invoice is issued not in the name of B? Yes, there will be circumstances. For example, now you have to understand that if invoice, when goods are supplied to the customer, you should check whether the invoice is issued in the name of the agent. If so, then schedule 1 will come into play. Means it will be treated as supply. Which one? Between the transfer between A and B, or the transaction between A and B. Now it may so happen sometimes that B procures the order from customer. But what will happen is the billing will be done in the name of A. The invoice will be raised in the name of A. When the invoice is sent to the customer, it will not be in the name of B, but it will be in the name of A. In such a case, schedule 1 will not come into effect. Because B simply what he does, he procure order and he will inform A that one Mr. X has placed an order for 100 units. Now immediately what A does, A will raise invoice in his name and the seller will be named as A, and A sends the goods directly to the customer. In this case, schedule 1 will not come into play. That you should understand. Now simply I will tell you a simple logic. If B handles goods, then schedule 1 will come into play. If B has received these 100 items, automatically schedule 1 will come. If B does not touch the goods, schedule 1 will not come into play. Okay, this is what you have to understand. Same is the case in respect of purchase also. Same is with respect to purchase also. Mr. X is in Bangalore and he has a showroom. Now this fellow is the principal. Y is the agent in Jammu and Kashmir. Now this fellow what he does, he procure carpets. If one of the carpet maker supplied to Y and gives this invoice in the name of Y, automatically schedule 1 will come into play. Automatically schedule 1 will come into play, because here the carpet maker bills in the name of Y, because this carpet maker don't know X of Bangalore. This fellow know the face of Y only. So this carpet maker billed in the name of Y. Y in turn bills in the name of X. Now schedule 1 will come into play. Schedule 1 will come into play. Now I will tell you another example. I will tell you another example. Same, Mr. X, Bangalore, principal, carpet showroom. Carpet showroom. Mr. Y, agent, Jammu Kashmir. Carpet maker. Carpet maker. Now, Y went to Z, who is the carpet maker, and he told that we want 100 units of your carpet and you send directly to Bangalore. You send directly to Bangalore. Now this carpet maker will make an invoice in the name of X directly. Now here the agent and the principal, there is no supply, but there is another supply, that is the service done by agent. Supply number 1 is not there. The transaction between principal and agent, deemed supply will not be there. Deemed supply will not be there. That you should understand. Okay. Now coming to del creditor agent. Coming to del creditor agent. Del creditor agent. Now, can anyone tell me whom do you mean by del creditor agent? Can anyone tell me whom do you mean by a del creditor agent? Can anyone tell me? Viresh, tell me.
An agent who promises payment in case of bad debts.
Yes, an agent who promises payment in case of bad debts. Very good. That is the meaning of a del creditor agent. And also the commission for a del creditor agent will be more, because he undertakes the risk of collection also. So as far as the difference between normal agent and del creditor agent is that the rate of commission will be more in respect of del creditor agent, because he undertakes the risk of collection also. Now here, these del creditor agents, now is the agent principal schedule 1 relationship clear for all of you? Agent and del creditor, agent and principal, if supply is taking place without consideration in the course or furtherance of business, it will be treated as supply. However, you should keep in mind one point. If the agent is a selling agent, if the billing is in the name of agent to the customer, then schedule 1 will come into play. If the billing is directly by the principal to the customer, then schedule 1 will not come into play. Next, purchase ledger. If agent is a procurement fellow, if the seller gives the bill in the name of the agent, then schedule 1 will come into play. If the seller directly gives the bill in the name of the principal, then schedule 1 will not come into play. So to this extent, you be clear. Now, the CB government has issued a circular clarifying the position in regard to del creditor agent. Clarifying the position with regard to the del creditor agent. The position is same. The position is same. What is same? If he is a selling agent, if the bill is, the invoice is raised by in the name of the agent, schedule 1 applies. If the invoice is raised by the principal himself, schedule 1 will not come into play. Similarly for purchase also. Now, there arises a situation which involves an interest element. Now the question is whether the interest will form part of the consideration. Whether interest will form part of the consideration is the question, which has been answered by way of a circular. Now let me tell you an example. We will take the same example. Why another example? We will go for the same example. One, we have worst fellow, name A. Who is that worst fellow? There are two worst fellows always. One is Mr. A and one is Mr. X. So anytime we will be taking their names only. Now let us go to A, Maharashtra, manufacturer, principal. Okay. Now we have B, agent, Hyderabad, Telangana. There is one customer. Now this customer is a wholesaler. Now what has happened is, generally what will happen is, this fellow supplies goods, transfer goods, no consideration. Now goods reached B. So goods in the hands of B. Automatically schedule 1 will come into play. This is deemed as supply. This is deemed as a supply. Okay. Now, this is deemed as supply. Now, bill B supplies. B supplies to the wholesaler for consideration. Okay. Now, what will happen is, the credit period given is 1 month. The credit period given is 1 month. Now, what will happen is, this fellow 1 month expired. This fellow has not given the money. This fellow has not given the money. Now, what will happen? Tell me. What will happen? Tell me.
The agent will pay the money to principal.
I did not understand what you are saying. One month expired. What will happen? Now,
agent will bear the bad debts and pay to principal.
agent will pay the money to the principal. So, agent will immediately pay to the principal. Now, is B simply paying the money to the A? What will happen is, suppose these goods are sold for rupees 1 lakh. Right? What will happen is, B will take interest from customer. Now 500 rupees interest. B will take 500 rupees interest from customer. Why? Because this fellow did not pay within 1 month. So he will take interest from customer. After all, is he doing B? Is he doing business or charity? B is doing business. He is a commercial fellow. He does it for a profit. He is not a charitable entity. Okay. So what this fellow will do? He will collect interest from the customer. Now, the consideration for a transfer or supply by B to the customer is 1,500,000. GST is to be paid on 1,500,000. That is clarified by this government by way of issue of circular. Okay. Did you understand the point? Now, let us say B does not handle the goods. Let us say, now is this point clear for all of you? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now let us take the example of schedule 1 not getting attracted. Let us take the example of schedule 1 not getting attracted. Means, again, A, Maharashtra, manufacturer, principal. B, agent, Hyderabad, Telangana, customer. Now, what has happened is B procured the order. Now, what is happening is A, the bill is given in the name of A. Invoice is in the name of A, and the goods are directly sent to the customer. B do not handle goods. This fellow won't touch the goods at all. Now will schedule 1 come to play, yes or no? Now the value of invoice is 1 lakh. Will schedule 1 come to play, yes or no? Schedule 1 will not come into play. The transaction between A and B won't come into play. Because B procured the, of course, B will be paid commission. B has provided service to A will pay the commission, and if other conditions satisfied, B has to pay GST. That is different thing. Now here schedule 1 will not come into play. So the transaction between A and B is not a supply. However, a transaction has taken place between the A and the customer. A directly sent the goods to customer, A, and the billing is done in the name of A. Now the site is 1 month. The site is 1 month. But this fellow did not pay within 1 month. Now what will happen? Now what will happen? What will happen now?
B pays to A.
B pays to A. You are right. Money is paid by B to A. Now, what this B will do? Will charge interest. B will charge interest from the customer. Now the question is, will the 500 form part of the consideration? Yes or no? No. Because here this will take the color of finance transaction. B gave a loan to customer. Customer paid interest to B. Now this is a exempted transaction. This is a exempted transaction. Exempted transaction. The value of supply is 1 lakh only. But in the previous example, one I have told you that if it falls under schedule 1, that means billing is done by B. Then the value of supply is 1,500,000. But if this transaction do not fall under schedule 1, the interest received by the bill creditor agent from the ultimate customer is only a mere financial transaction, and thereby the interest will not form part of the consideration or value of supply. The value of supply remains to be 1 lakh only. This is clarified by way of a circular. You have to understand. Is the point clear to all of you? Now, can I erase the board? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Right. Right. Okay. Virtual classes have their own advantages as well as disadvantages. One of the advantages when I write with a marker on the board, it used to take some 30 seconds or so to erase the board. Now it takes me a second, Control A, delete, finish. Okay, right. Moving forward, my dear friends, this page is completed. Next, this page is completed. Now here I have already told, customer is issued in the name of an agent, and goods are procured, invoiced in the agent's name. This I have completed. Now this is one of the example. Now whether they are Bolo identify various who provides the goods as desired and ask the supplier to send the goods directly to Anmol. Directly to Anmol. Directly to the Anmol means what will happen? Schedule 1 will not come into play. He is not an agent. Titan, a banking company, appoints Mandar to auction goods. Auctioneer arranges for the auction and identify the bidders. Goods are told to the highest bidder. The invoice is issued by Titan. Invoice is issued by the Titan and the principal. Title is the principal. Will schedule 1 come into play or not? Yes or no? If the invoice is issued in the name of the principal, will schedule 1 be applicable or not? Yes?
No, sir.
Huh?
No, sir. No, sir.
No, schedule 1 won't come into play. Gautam is an artist, appoints Gambhir, auctioneer. To auction is Gautam, Gambhir arranges for auction, identify the potential bidder. Highest painting is sold to the invoice for supply is issued by the Gambhir. Now, in whose name invoice is issued? Invoice is issued in the name of agent. If invoice is issued in the name of agent, what will automatically happen? Will schedule 1 come into play or not? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, A is a CNF agent or commission agent, take possession of the goods, my dear friend, and issues invoices in his own name. You understand, my dear friends, that whenever the agent takes the possession of goods, it's finished. Schedule 1 will come. Schedule 1 will come into play. And also you should understand here, one of the most important point is, this is not applicable to Schedule 1, Para 3. Is applicable to only goods, not applicable to services. That you should understand. This is applicable to only goods and not services. Schedule 1, Para 3 is applicable to only goods. It is not applicable to services. That you should understand. Now, Ravi sells agricultural produce by utilizing the services of Kavi. Kavi is the commission agent. Kavi identifies the buyers and sells produce on behalf of Ravi, for which a charge commission from Ravi. The commission agent is a person who buys or sells on behalf of the principal, or facilitates buying and selling on behalf of the principal, receives by way of remuneration commission. Where the invoice is issued by Kavi. Kavi is agent. If Kavi issues the invoice, Schedule 1 will come. Suppose Ravi issues the invoice, Schedule 1 will not come into play. Okay. Who is the agent here? Kavi. If Kavi issues invoice in his name, Schedule 1 is applicable. If Ravi directly gives the invoice, Schedule 1 won't come. Means there is no transaction or supply between Ravi and Kavi. But supply 1 is not there. Supply 2 is there. What is supply 2? Can anyone tell me what is supply 2?
The service provided by the agent.
Service provided by the agent to the principal. For which what is the consideration?
Commission.
Commission. As simple as that. You are right. Next. Clarification pertaining to the Del Creditor agent. I have already told you. Whom do you mean by Del Creditor agent? And what is the issue there? And the circular number 73 dated 5/11/2018 has been issued. There, the only thing is, invoice is issued by the supplier. Then this fellow is not an agent. Okay. If the invoice is issued by the Del Creditor agent in his own name, then it would be fall within Schedule 1. Next question is with regard to interest. With regard to interest, it is clarified whether if Del Creditor agent is not an agent, then he is to the recipient on principal to principal basis and an independent supplier, interest charged will not form part of value of supply. So if the invoice is given in the name of principal, interest will not be consideration, will not form part of consideration. Suppose if Del Creditor agent is an agent as per Para 3, then temporary short loan transaction provided, what will happen? The value of interest charged is required to be included in the value of supply of goods. This is as per section 15 subsection 2. And also the time of supply for interest is receipt basis. Is receipt basis, that you should understand. Of course, that we will understand when we go into the time of supply. So friends, this is the analysis part of para number 3 of schedule 1. So till now we have completed 3 paras. What are the 3 paras? First para of schedule 1 is with regard to permanent transfer or disposal of a business asset on which input tax credit has been availed. What is para number 2? Para number 2 is with regard to supply of good or service between related parties or between distinct persons. Between related parties or distinct persons without consideration, but in the course or furtherance of business. That is para number 2. What about para number 3? Para number 3 is with regard to principal and agent. So when will the activity be treated as supply? If the activity is between principal and agent, if there is no consideration, but however, para number 3 is applicable to only goods. Para number 3 is applicable to only goods. It is not applicable to service. Next comes para number 4 of schedule 1. Next comes para number 4 of schedule 1. What does para number 4 state? Import of a service by a related person or from establishment located outside India without consideration in the course or furtherance of business will be treated as supply. Now we will analyze this para number 4. We will analyze this para number 4. Previously, the importation of service we have dealt. Importation of service we have dealt. This is in relation to exception to furtherance of business. Furtherance of business. What we have understood as per 7 subsection 1, supply includes all forms of supply of goods or service by a person for consideration in course or furtherance of business. That is 7 subsection 1. That is 7 subsection 1, clause A. But there is an exception to furtherance of business. What is it? Import of service. Import of service for consideration. For consideration. Whether or not in course or furtherance of business. So this is an exception to furtherance of business dealing with import of service. Okay, this is different. This is supply. But we are dealing with another situation. What we are dealing with? A situation of import of service without consideration from related person or establishment of related person in course or furtherance of business. Now this you should understand. What are the conditions here? What are all the conditions given here? Condition number 1, what is it? Condition number 1 is import of service, means not goods, only import of service. There is no consideration. There is no consideration. From whom you are importing? From a related person or establishment of related person. From whom you are importing? You are importing from a related person or from his establishment located outside India. Establishment located outside India. His establishment outside India. Okay. And that too in the course or furtherance of business. In the course or furtherance of business. Then automatically this becomes supply and is subjected to GST. And is subjected to GST. Of course, for import of service, GST will be on reverse charge. For import of service, GST will be on reverse charge. Okay. Right. We will further understand this point with the help of examples that have been provided here. Jumru Associates received legal consultancy service from head office located in Malaysia. So J Associates is in India. Its head office is in Malaysia. Now this is import. Now head office rendered such service free of cost. No consideration. No consideration. Now, are all these conditions satisfied? Import of service without consideration related. Head office and branch are related persons. Head office and branch are related persons. Now, what it has received? Consultancy, legal consultancy. Legal consultancy means in course or furtherance of business. Now automatically this is supply, falls under schedule 1 para 4. Okay. Now Checkmark, a proprietor in Delhi, sought architect service from Sun, located in US. Oh. Now let us check the conditions. Let us check the condition. Now Sun proprietor, father is the proprietor, son, both are related, family means related, son is included in family, whether or not he is only or mainly dependent. Point number 1. So this is important. This fellow, son fellow is in US. Now, so this is import of service, satisfied. Did the son take any fees? No, he did not take any fees without consideration. Whether they are related, yes or no? Yes, sir. Now find out if it is in the course or furtherance of business. Now what this proprietor Checkmark want to do? Construct a house. automatically furtherance of business failed. Furtherance of business failed. Now tell me, is this supply yes or no? Now tell me, is this supply yes or no?
No, sir.
No, it is not a supply. Why? In order to come under paragraph 4, one of the foremost important condition among the others is it should be in the course of furtherance of business. Now that proprietor took the architect consultancy service for the purpose of construction of his house. If it is for the purpose of construction of the house, it is not in course or furtherance of business. Thereby, one of the condition failed, so entire point will fail, and this is not a supply. That you should understand. So it will not qualify as a supply since it is not in the course of, because it is for construction of house. That you should understand. Okay. Now, clarification on sales promotion expenses. Now, generally for the purpose of improving their sales, these sellers will implement so many schemes like giving away free samples, or there will be offers like buy one, get one. There will be offers like buy one, get one. If you buy paste, you will get a toothbrush free. Okay. If you buy Garnier hair dye, you will get a conditioner free. If you buy one shirt, you will get another shirt free. Of course, now this Ashadha Masam sale is there. They will give you discount. Now, apart from discount, some shops will offer you, if you buy 2 t-shirts, you will get 1 t-shirt free. Or if you buy 1 shirt, you will get another shirt free. Now, these type of offers will be given in order to boost up their sales or in order to clear their stock, because Ashadha Masam is a lean month and nobody will be carrying out any functions or like that. But from Shravana Masam onwards, the festivity will start again. Like your Shravana Masam, and in after Shravana Masam, you will get Vinayak Chavithi. After Vinayak Chavithi, Deepa Dasara. After Dasara, Deepavali. Again after Deepavali, you will get Happy Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Sankranti. Like that, you have a series of festivities. Now this Ashadha Masam, what they will do, they will clear the stock. And from Shravana Masam onwards, they will start procuring fresh stock for Shravana Masam, Dasara, Deepavali. Okay. Now these offers will come into play. Now what does section 7 subsection 1 says? Goods or supplies, services which are given away free of cost, means without consideration, will not be treated as a supply as per 7.1a. Why? Because 7.1a states that supply includes all forms of supplies for a consideration. by a person in course or furtherance of business. Now, when there is no consideration, what will happen? 7(1)(a) will not apply. If there is no consideration, 7(1)(a) don't apply. But if it happens to be Schedule 1, then it is applied. What is Schedule 1? You have 4 paras, 1, 2, 3, and 4. What are they? One is permanent transfer or disposal of business asset on which you have claimed ITC. What is the second point? Transaction between related parties or distinct parties. That is second one. Now, what is the third one? Agent, principal. What is the fourth one? Import of service into India without consideration, in course or furtherance of business, from a related party or an establishment of the related party. So unless it is Schedule 1, if there is no consideration, it is not a supply. That you should understand. Now, free samples. Free sample, are you charging any money? You are not charging any money. Now, if you are not charging any money, then what will happen? It is not a supply. Unless it falls under Schedule 1. Unless it falls under Schedule 1. Now, employee, employer, are they related parties? Yes.
Yes.
Employer, to employee, what will happen? Schedule 1 will come, but there is a limiter of 50,000. If the gift does not exceed 50,000, there is no supply. Okay. Right. So free gifts and samples, since there is no consideration, it is not a supply unless it falls under Schedule 1. Then what about the input tax credit that has been availed? Should it be reversed or not? That we will deal in the input tax credit chapter. Because for manufacturing this item which has been given away free, there is no output tax, means there is no supply. But it may so happen that you have availed the input tax credit on raw material which has been utilized for the purpose of manufacture of this sample, which was given away free of cost. Now, whether ITC has to be reversed or not, we will deal it in the ITC chapter, but not here. But for now, we are just dealing with the situation of supply. Is it a supply or not? No consideration, no supply, except it is falling under Schedule number 1. That you should understand. Next, coming to buy one, get one free. Generally, no fool on this earth will give anything free of cost. Will you accept or not? If someone says that you are getting it free, sometimes we will get some advertisement calls. They will call and say that, sir, you are the most luckiest fellow on earth after Narendra Modi ji. You are the only person who is lucky in the world. Your telephone number is selected. Your telephone number is selected for a gift. They want to give me free insurance policy. Really, any idiot on earth call me and give me any free insurance policy, even though my number gets selected. How did my number get selected after all? First of all, how did they know the number? My wife know the number, my son know my number, my daughter know my number. Or my friends, relatives, or my students, you being the students, I gave you my number. What is there so that you will call me whenever there is a disturbance in the class? Like if you have any technical glitch, the telecast may not be there, you may call me and tell me. Otherwise, you will not be receiving the telecast. I, for myself, sitting at my office or home, I will be telling to the computer and you are not listening. So for that purpose, I gave you my number. Now, how that fellow will get my number? And why should he, after all, give me free of cost? So nobody on earth will give you anything for free. Take it granted once for all. If they are giving something for free for you, there is a quid pro quo. They are expecting something from you. I want to transfer 10,000. Give me your bank account number. They are expecting quid pro quo. They will take your bank account number and they will transfer funds from not their bank account, but they will transfer funds from your bank account to their bank account. So don't give your numbers to anyone. Right? Nothing will come on this earth free. Okay. So to sell one shirt, he is giving one shirt. Now that fellow gave me an offer. The other day, now you may be so intelligent, you may be so educated, multi-qualified, everything. The other day, last week, I went to a Skechers shop for the purchase of shoes. The shoes costed some money. That fellow lured me that if you buy anything for, let us say, what he told me, if you buy anything for 800 more, you will get a Skechers bag. And I asked him, what is the value of this? This is 2000. This is 2000. So I searched the products there. And I could not find even a product which is less than 4,000. And after having these many years of experience, after being multi-qualified, everything, I bought this for 4,000 for this bag. That fellow lured me with the bag, asked me to buy something for 800. He got a deal for 4,000 more from me and he gave me this bag. I never know what I will be doing with this bag. Of course, I gave it to my daughter so that she will keep her books and go to the college. But unfortunately, no college as of now. Okay. So nothing will come free. Okay, nothing will come for free. That fellow sold another product showing me that bag. Buy one, get one. What is the cost of this? 2,000. What is the cost of this? If I buy this for 2,000, I will get this free. It is not that that fellow is giving away this one. It is that cost of both is 2,000. Cost of both is 2,000. That you should understand. This should be either a mixed supply or a composite supply. What do you mean by mixed supply? What do you mean by composite supply? We will deal at the end of this chapter. Okay, in this chapter only, we will deal at the end. So, buy one, get one free is nothing but a mixed supply or a composite supply. Okay, so it is not that one is sold for free, one is sold for a price, another one is given away as gift. It is not like that. The other way you should understand that the price of both of the means the cost of this is also factored into this. The cost of the one free which is given free is factored into the one which is priced. That you should understand. Right? Now this should be either a mixed supply or a composite supply. Mixed supply or composite supply. If it is naturally bundled, it is composite. If it is not naturally bundled, it is mixed. Now, how it will be chargeable, blah, 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 we will deal at the end of this chapter when we go to that topic. Okay, right. So, what it is given is buy one, get one free is, it is not an individual supply, but two or more supplies are given away at a single price. Okay. Now, it should be a composite supply or a mixed supply. You should understand whether it is a composite one or mixed one. Now, what is composite, what is mixed? There are rules to identify as to what supply is a composite or what supply is a mixed supply. Now, based on that, we will determine as to the chargeability. Okay, this is clarified by circular number 92 dated 7th of March 2019. So with that, we are done with schedule 1. With that, we are done with schedule 1. Now we will be coming to schedule 2 of CGST Act. What does schedule 2 say? Schedule 2 states that whether an activity is to be considered as a supply of good or whether an activity is to be considered as a supply of service is dealt by schedule 2. Now previously there used to be some dilemma with regard to whether an item is good or a service. I told you the classic example of software. The service tax people, central government says that software is a service and they levied service tax. The VAT authorities, they told that the software is good and they levied VAT. Means that poor fellow, software fellow, suffered indirect tax both as a good as well as service. Now, same is the case of a hotel, restaurant, where food is served. Now, come to the example of a restaurant. You went to a restaurant. You went there and you ordered something. Now, tell me what you have ordered, anyone? You went to a restaurant and has ordered something. What did you order? Tell me.
Startup, sir.
So, name the starter. Name anything. Whenever you go, maybe for the last 1 month or 2 months, you might not have gone to the restaurant. But by God's grace, as of now, I think everything is fine at your place. That is, no curfew is there. So the last time when you went to a restaurant, what did you order? You tell me what is there. You will order what can be consumed by humans. I understand. So tell me what you have ordered. Rajkumar, what you have ordered?
Sir, a cool drink.
Sorry?
A cool drink, sir.
You went to a restaurant and ordered a cool drink, the safest one. Okay, you ordered a cool drink. Apart from that, what you have ordered?
In butter naan roti with kaju paneer, main course.
Very good. Butter naan and cashew paneer. Very good. Now you might have been billed somewhere around let's say that this is 300 and this is 100 and this is somewhere around 50. Now 450. Very good. Of course, I have given the rates which I thought it would be appropriate. Maybe it will be maybe some a bit lower or a bit higher depending upon the hotel. Right. Is this for good or service? Tell me. Is this for good or service?
Sir, good.
450 is the consideration. The hotel fellow served you. You paid. Okay. Is this for good or service?
Sir, I think both.
Both. Why? Both. Why? Why? My dear friend, you won't get cashew paneer ready-made. They have to buy cashews. It is a good. A paneer, it is a good. And some other ingredients they have to buy. They have to cook that cashew paneer, which is a service. They have processed the goods. That processing, that cooking is a service. Butter naan, that atta they have bought. Okay, some more ingredients they have added. They have prepared that butter naan, that preparation is service. So this comprises of both good as well as service. That atta, cashew, paneer is not served as it is to you. If it is served as it is, now maybe Rajkumar, once you get married, and if you ask your wife to do both of these, and you said that you want it urgently, you want to go to office immediately, you want it urgently, then atta is placed, paneer is placed, and what else? Cashew is placed. Because you want it urgently. Now, this hotel fellow can't do like that. What that fellow will do? That fellow cooked the food. It is a service. He bought the goods, converted them into butter naan and cashew paneer and served you. So this comprises of both good and service. Now previously, you know, under the previous regime where before the GST came, you know, when you go to a hotel, they will charge you both VAT as well as service tax. They used to charge both VAT and service tax. Okay. Of course, what they used to do is they used to take a portion. So 450 into 60% VAT, 450 into 40% service tax. Like that they used to do. But that fellow, poor fellow, software fellow, if software is 10,000, service tax was levied on 10,000, VAT was levied on 10,000. It used to be like that. Now GST, one of the advantages of GST, what you have learned is that what are all the ill effects of the previous indirect tax regime has been removed by the GST. So under GST, there is a clarity. One of the advantages of GST is with regard to clarity. One is the HSN code basis. Classification of goods was made clear. And also, whether an activity is a good or a service was made clear by schedule number 2 by schedule number 2. So schedule number 2 clearly states whether an activity is a good or a service. Now, under the GST law, now under the current law, an item will be treated as a good or as a service, that's all, but not as both. There is no confusion at all. Schedule 2 clearly demarcates the difference between a good and a service. So what is under schedule 2, we will understand in tomorrow's class. Okay. For now, I will sign off.